Most gardeners are taught the same rule early on. Build a compost pile, wait patiently, then spread it when it's ready. Compost works, no question. But history shows something else just as clearly. Long before compost bins, thermometers, and turning schedules, people built fertile soil faster, with fewer steps, by feeding the ground directly. These methods were not shortcuts. They were systems designed around biology, labor efficiency, and results. And in many cases, they outperform compost because they eliminate the waiting, the hauling, and the nutrient loss that comes with piling life up somewhere else and hoping it behaves. If you want soil that improves every season instead of every few years, these traditional tricks deserve serious attention. So, why wasn't compost always the starting point in traditional gardening? Well, compost piles are actually a pretty modern convenience. Back in the day, farmers and gardeners rarely separated fertility from the field itself. Instead, organic matter was fed right where the crops grew, not processed somewhere else. The reason for this was really practical. Nutrients tend to leak out when organic matter is exposed to air and rain. Microbes really stall when food is moved away from the roots. And, labor really matters when your survival depends on the food you grow. Traditional systems focused on feeding soil biology in place, which allowed worms, fungi, bacteria, and insects to do the work continuously. Compost might have finished the job, but honestly, it was never the foundation. So let's talk about how direct soil feeding can actually build fertility a whole lot faster than using finished compost. Trench gardening, which is sometimes called lasagna gardening, works by layering organic matter directly into your beds or planting rows and then covering it all up with soil. The green materials you add provide nitrogen, while the brown materials supply carbon. After that, the soil seals the whole system. Microbes get to work right away, colonizing those layers, and then worms follow, so decomposition happens exactly where your plant roots are going to grow. Now let's walk through how trench gardening really works, step by step. First, you dig a trench where you want to plant. Then you fill it with alternating layers of green and brown organic materials. After that, you simply cover it with soil again. And that's pretty much it. Nature takes care of the rest. Nothing needs to be turned. And nothing has to be transported anywhere else. Nutrients are released slowly and steadily, not dumped all at once. If you apply this method in autumn, you'll often find that by spring you can plant right into soil that's already been transformed. While a compost pile started at the same time might still be unfinished. So why did zai pits transform barren land into productive farmland in West Africa? Well, zai pits are honestly a great example of how biology responds to structure. Farmers dig these shallow pits during the dry season and, fill them up with manure or organic matter. When the rains finally come, water collects in the pits instead of just running off. Termites are drawn in by all that organic material, and their tunneling breaks up the hardpan, aerates the soil, and even carries nutrients deeper down. Crops planted in these pits are able to access moisture and fertility long after the surrounding soil has dried out. This system actually outperforms regular compost because, honestly, it solves multiple problems all at once. It captures water, restores structure, and activates soil life underground. But compost alone cannot do that on degraded land. So, how do indigenous microorganisms rebuild soil faster than just added organic matter? Korean natural farming, focuses less on adding material and more on restoring biology. Indigenous microorganisms are collected from healthy local soils, fermented with a simple sugar source, and then returned to gardens as a liquid inoculant. The effect is not immediate fertility, but rather it's a rapid activation. Native microbes are already adapted to the local climate and soil conditions. When reintroduced in large numbers, these microbes accelerate nutrient cycling, suppress disease, and support fungal networks that, honestly, compost alone just can't establish quickly. Gardeners using this approach often find they can reduce compost inputs over time because the soil, well, it starts managing itself. Fertility becomes a biological process, not just a material one. And that's why, kitchen scraps actually worked better buried than composted. Before compost bins, food scraps went straight into the ground. Banana peels, eggshells, vegetable trimmings, and coffee grounds were buried shallowly near plants or worked into beds. This was not careless disposal, it was targeted feeding. Potassium from banana peels, nitrogen from coffee grounds, and calcium from eggshells entered the soil slowly as microbes broke them down. When buried, these materials stayed moist, attracted worms, and avoided nutrient loss. Composting them first added time without adding much benefit. The soil itself completed the process more efficiently. So why do these methods, consistently outperform traditional compost? The advantage really comes down to speed, efficiency, and biology. Direct soil feeding eliminates the months-long delay of compost maturation. Nutrients are delivered right where the roots already are. There's no hauling, no turning, and honestly, no loss to leaching. Plus, soil structure improves faster because fungi and worms are encouraged to work underground, instead of just waiting around for finished compost to arrive. The speed and efficiency of direct soil feeding really set it apart, making it a practical and, sustainable choice for gardeners who want healthier soil and better results, faster. Most importantly, these methods feed the soil food web directly. Compost feeds soil chemistry, and biology feeds soil systems. So how do you apply these ideas in a modern garden without abandoning compost entirely? Compost still has value, especially for seed starting and surface conditioning, but instead of treating it as the main engine, use it as a supplement. Dig shallow trenches in fall and fill them with layered organic matter. You can also bury kitchen scraps in rotation around your beds. So, one way to wake up tired soil is to apply microbial inoculants. And in those drier areas, it's a good idea to use pits or basins to capture both water and life together. Over time, as your soil gets healthier, you'll notice that your need for compost actually goes down, since the soil begins producing its own fertility from within. What history really makes clear about soil success is this: the most productive soils weren't built by leaving piles sitting off to the side. They were built by constant, quiet feeding happening underground. Compost definitely has its place, but honestly, it's not the most powerful tool out there. Traditional soil systems understood something we often forget in modern gardening. Soil improves the fastest when its biology is fed right where it lives. If this kind of grounded, practical knowledge matters to you, I'd encourage you to subscribe to Nature's Fix. Share this with a gardener who's still stuck waiting on compost, and start building soil that works harder for you every single season.